Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the Landmarks Preservation Commission public hearing and public meeting of June 2nd. Before we get started, I just wanted to acknowledge a great loss in the preservation community in New York City. A former LPC employee and longtime employee at New York Landmarks Conservancy, Anne Isabel Friedman. She was the director of the Sacred Sites program at Landmarks Conservancy and did so much to help all religious properties, stay vital and preserve their buildings. She was very beloved in the preservation community and certainly by many, many staff here. And so we just wanted to recognize that. The Landmarks Conservancy sent out a very lovely email outlining, her important contributions. And I did love that she loved her nickname as the Jewish church lady. And I thought that was so sweet and such a New York story. So I just wanted to recognize that before we move on. Okay, so with that, let's move to our first item of the afternoon.
All right, we'll resume the Preservation Department agenda with public hearing item number 8, LPC 26-03566, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 463, Lot 11, for St. Mark's Place, the Hamilton Holly House individual landmark. This is a federal-style house built in 1831, and the application is to install a barrier-free access platform lift.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for taking the time to allow me to present the alteration at Fort St. Mark's, also known as the Hamilton Holly House. The project is located on St. Mark Street between Cooper Square and Second Avenue. Is a individual historic landmark building designated in 2004. It was originally erected back in 1830s and now is a standalone landmark. Back in 2016, our office did a major restoration to the existing building and restore a lot of the historical features, including the balcony that was originally located in front of the building. Throughout history, it was originally used as a single family for Alexander Hamilton's widow, and then it was slowly transitioned to a theater in the back and retail in the front with residential above. So during the 2016 conversion, we restored the ground floor retail space and using the upper floors as residential for apartments. So I'm here today to present to you an application to propose a lift at the front of the building in order to accommodate ADA accessibility to the ground floor space and the basement level below. So this is just a historical precedence of a application that Landmark has previously approved. Is located at 87 Crosby Street. And here you can see that the lift is only going down to the cellar, but we will also go up to the first floor. This slide is showing that the context of the neighborhood. So walking along St. Mark Street, you can see that there are different variation of storefront and street walls. Some have front stoop, others have recess. It's predominantly a commercial district with a lot of restaurants uses and even seating in the front of the buildings. But we just want to show that there's different type of landscape in this, different kind of street wall in this environment. And most of these buildings are not historical, except for 3 that are built around the same time as our building. So as part of our proposed work, we are proposing to remove the existing balcony that was previously approved back in the 2016 renovation. The balcony is not historic. So And we were also reversing the swing of the door, which is also not historic because all of the bulk of this work was being done back in the 2016 as part of the major alteration to the building. In addition, along the street level, we are removing the handrail that's in front of the building and one of the stairs going down, one bay of the stair going down. All of this is to make the necessary clearances that is needed for ADA accessibility. On the basement level, the lift will need like a small pitch, so we are digging down 3 inches just to make that lift accommodation. So here you can see a section. It will be a 3-level lift. Walking in on the street level, you can take it up to the first floor or down to the basement level. In addition, there are a few cellar utility equipment that needs to be relocated in order to provide the clearances that is needed for the lift. So here you will see an enlarged floor plans showing that the exterior of the building. So on the most left presentation will be the first floor. So instead of the curved balcony, we're gonna have a straight balcony because of the 5 feet clearance needed for rotation, and the existing balcony does not have the 5 feet clearance needed. That's why it needs to be removed and reconstructed. In addition, the doors also has its own clearance, and due to the curvature of the existing balcony, it does not accommodate that clearance. So that's why we're proposing to have a straight run for the balcony. So on the ground floor, we're gonna remove this staircase, add a railing here so people don't trip over. The reason for that is because we'll also need a 5-foot clearance down on the basement level in order to have someone be able to rotate in and out of the lift. So we plan on filling in the alleyway with concrete matching the existing sidewalk. And since also in the basement level, we also need to reverse the door swing because as currently orientated, the swing doesn't work the swing doesn't work for the door clearance needed for ADA accessibility. So on the left side, you will see a rough rendering of how the lift will look like in relationship to the building and elevation along to show that we're gonna remove the railing and relocate it more towards the left of the building. We'll keep all the balustrade and the railing matching the existing, what is there. So that much we're not changing. Aside from that alteration, we'll also need to make some changes to the existing fire escape. As presently constructed, the fire escape is coming down from the right side, which will drop where the proposed ADA lift will be. So we'll need to move it to the center. And then at the same time, there's a flagpole there for a sign banner, and we're had to relocate it more towards the left because due to the relocation of the fire escape ladder. So here is a cut sheet of the proposed lift. So it'll be a 3-stop lift. The color will be painted in black gray semi-gloss to match more towards the railing, and the lift will be a Savarina V1504. It'll be 3-stop lift used for exterior purposes. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Okay, not seeing any questions. Let's move to public testimony. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? No? So let's move to online remote testimony. We're going to turn to Elizabeth Lee.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Andrew Berman.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify. We do have concerns about this proposed application. While we certainly recognize the necessity of ADA accessibility and the challenges in older buildings like this particular plan seems to be taking the most visually intrusive route possible to try to create any necessary disabled accessibility. We can think of no other precedent of a building like this that has had this kind of addition approved by LPC. We are hopeful that there are other solutions and other approaches that can be found to provide the desired accessibility that do not so strongly obscure important historic features of the building, which the proposed lift would do at both the cellar level and the parlor floor level. So we strongly urge the Commission to work with the applicant to see if other routes can be identified to do this that would have less of an impact on what is a very unique and very important individually designated landmark that we and others worked for many, many years to get designated, and we would like to see its important features both remain intact and visually apparent to the public. Thank you very much.
The next speaker will be John Graham.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. We acknowledge the difficulties of making a building like this accessible, but this proposal is one of the most intrusive solutions we've seen. The lift proposed is enormous in its bulk and will sit in front of this finely detailed federal house, looking like a walk-in cooler abandoned in the areaway. It is not appropriate. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 3 recommends approval.
Okay, would you like to respond to any of the comments made?
So the reason we're requesting this change is because we have the first floor has been unoccupied for a few years now, and due to the nature of the streetscape, one of the predominant use of that block is our restaurant use. So the landlord has a potential restaurant tenant who's very interested within the space, and due to the nature of the laws, and we want to accommodate for all potential pedestrians that will be coming in and out of the space. So we feel that how do I say this? We feel that self-serving ADA lift will be the best solution in order to provide accommodation to all pedestrians, whether they're handicapped or not, to the space. In addition, we're providing it to the cellar level, which is currently retail. So this way, we feel fair and justified that this will be providing quality for all. In addition, we're setting back, we understand that the lift itself can be very heavy. That's why we're finding a corner to tuck it away against a non-historic building. And the two buildings next to us projects further into the street than we are. So we're trying to hide it in the corner, and we're offsetting it from the building, so we do not touch any of the architectural feature for the building.
Okay, thank you. I think we have some additional questions. Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, just a quick question. When the platform moves, there's nothing about the framing or the doors, anything else that moves. So when it goes to the first floor, it doesn't change how it looks, right? The way it's resting. Are you going to see anything beyond just the platform going up, or is there something else that moves on it that changes the way you have it in your elevation?
So the only thing that will move will be the platform.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
So, looking at the brochure you put in of the Severia V1504, it says finish options include frameless glass for the ultimate in luxury.
Okay.
Could you do this with frameless so you didn't have the metal frames?
I mean, it could be an option that we can explore with the staff, but right now we want to match some of the material level.
I
at the
understand that, and you'll probably still have some metal, but it would make it lighter and less intrusive, I think.
Okay.
Commissioner Goldblum?
So forgive me if I missed some things here. The idea is to have one lift that provides access to both the cellar and the first floor. Is that right?
Correct.
Even though the cellar tenant is separate from the first floor tenant. Is that right?
Correct.
So is there a reason why you couldn't use for the first floor tenant a regular old railing mounted lift?
For the
First floor, not for the cellar, for the first floor. Could you use the kind that goes up the sides of the railing?
So part of the ADA rule is that it needs to be unassisted access for the pedestrians. So the moment you have someone rolling up to the chair and then you have to swap out, someone else will have to carry up your chair.
No,
in order to-
the kind I'm talking about is operatable by an individual all by themselves.
Okay.
It's mounted to the railings, and it's basically a flip down platform that, the person comes up, presses a button, it flips down, she rolls on, she presses a button, it goes up, she gets off,
But
all done.
but then someone else will have to carry their chair up for.
No, they get on with the chair. They roll right on with their chair.
Okay. The options that we looked at those are usually only for residential use and not so much for commercial.
Is there a substantive difference in the residential versus commercial that would make you think that you have to use the commercial here?
Because the first floor we're looking to have a eating and drinking establishment, which is a commercial use.
Right, but you're still only going to get one person at a time in that lift. It's only going to
Correct.
get 12 people in there.
No, absolutely not.
So if that's one person in a lift that goes up or one person in a lift that goes at an angle, what's the difference?
Is a matter of, like I said, unassisted, but I could definitely look at the rule a little bit closer and then get back to you on that one.
Thanks.
Just when that lift comes down, it's gonna be way out the sidewalk, and I'm not sure that.
Yeah, I hear you, but I know we've done that before a ton of times.
It's gonna rest inside.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that when it's not in use,
No, then it's not.
it's okay.
But I'm just not sure.
Plus you're-
given how tight-
But you're allowed to go 5 feet into the sidewalk for ramps. I'm not mistaken, the code allows, sorry, 3'6". So this would be a considerably smaller platform than that. I think you'd probably get it.
It's true, we did see a few of these. I mean, we see them periodically, the chairlift platform on a rail. I will say the most recent one was an institutional building that had a much larger landing to deliver the platform to and a place to tuck away the lift platform when it was not in use. And this is much tighter and with much
That-
more programs.
The real issue, I think that's the real issue. Real issue is that when you get to the top, there's no landing. But the question that I would have is, do you need a landing from an ADA perspective if you've got the platform as the landing, basically? The whole point of the landing is that a person can operate the door from a level platform. You have that, you're making that level platform with I don't know, but
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's close the hearing. Commissioner Chen, could you make a motion to close the hearing?
So move.
Commissioner Quimby, could you second the motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The hearing is closed. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you start the discussion, please?
Yeah, this is a tricky issue because you want to get to 2 levels besides the sidewalk. It's a very tight space. You need to continue to allow the stair up. And at the same time, largely because of the frame, it is a heavy insertion. So there are 2 things. One could look at what Commissioner Goldblum proposed of a stair lift, but I think that may have problems. It also doesn't service both up and down, which I realize you want to do. But as I noted, the brochure seems to offer a frameless option, which I think would be better. So I find this appropriate, but working with staff, try to find the least intrusive lift that meets the needs while having the minimal impact on the historic building.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Matt?
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Ginsburg. I think that if you can find something that is frameless and less obtrusive, I think it'll fit in a little bit better. I think that I can find it acceptable because it's reversible. And in the future, if we can find something that is less bulky, works better, we can always implement that. I also think that in this situation, it's also fine to move the flagpole and I guess it was like round out the balcony or, whatever other adjustments you have to do in order to accommodate this lift. And of course, it's very important to, ensure that we have barrier-free access.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, thanks to the applicant for the presentation. I think it's probably the best solution for the problem. If you're weighing all of the factors, there's a lot of things happening here, a lot of goals that the applicant's client is trying to meet. I think he's pretty much at the mercy of the manufacturer of the lift, so he can probably look for different types and different styles and different finishes. But I think it's gonna be as noticeable because it's airlift going 3 floors on the outside. I think it's disrupting as little as possible on this facade. And I can agree that moving the fire escape ladder is obviously necessary for it to function properly, as well as moving those other things, which I don't think will detract from the overall look of the building and historic nature. So I can find it appropriate. I'd be open to different designs, but I'm not sure how much they would change my opinion, whether I would love them more. I think it's just one of those things.
Commissioner Mahan?
So, providing barrier-free access to this landmark is important. However, I think there are other ways to achieve it, probably multiple other ways. I think that the sort of layout and configuration of this particular solution is ill-conceived and creates visual barriers to uh, hi- important historic aspects of the building, and misalignments with the and partially blocking the windows, and various important elements of the building. I think the execution of the new element itself, with the heavy black framing and the silver hardware, is ill-conceived as well. I would further note that the need to access 3 levels at the exterior is a self-imposed constraint. I know it wouldn't be ideal to introduce a vestibule on the interior that removes leasable area, but providing access to only 1 floor and then internal access to additional floors is absolutely viable. So there are different manufacturers who have different, details and configurations and technical requirements. There's another manufacturer that my firm uses quite a bit called Handy Lift, handy with an I. There's the option for a rail lift. So I can't support this. I think it's a very, very clunkily executed, and I'm confident, based on my own experience, that there are more than one more elegant solutions for this.
Commissioner Goldblum?
What Frank said, I agree 1,000%. The best option would be to give up interior space, use the lift to go down, go in, go up, all inside. If that's not feasible, then I forget the name of the company, maybe it's the Handy Lift. Saw this really posh thing where the stair collapses down and flops up. Granted, it was a Fifth Avenue private club, but that's available. There's the railing lift. Visual landmark. We got to do better.
Commissioner Jefferson?
I agree with my 2 fellow commissioners. There's other ways of handling this, and I think going down, penetrating, and going up again is a rational solution for this technical problem.
Commissioner Ikwembe?
I understand that it's a very constrained space, and as was indicated already, that maybe the wants are a little too much to actually achieve what is desired. Additionally, the enclosure for the lift itself is too visible. It's extremely intrusive, and as pointed out, also as for an individual landmark, I would like to see potentially a differing solution to try to mask some of the issues that we are presently seeing.
Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, given how important this landmark building is, and given that a number of commissioners have questions about alternatives, I think maybe good to have them come back for a second look at what they find out, what are the viable options.
Okay, so It doesn't look like we have enough votes today to approve this. So what we would recommend is that you work with staff, take into the consideration the recommendations you heard from the commissioners here, and work with staff to see if there's more study that can be done or different solutions, some of that were recommended today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We'll take no action on that item and move to the next item. That's public hearing item number 9, LPC 26-06412, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1293, Lot 26, 595 Madison Avenue, aka 593 to 599 Madison Avenue, and 41 East 57th Street. This is the Fuller Building Individual and Interior Landmark, an Art Deco style skyscraper designed by Walker and Gillette and built in 1928 to 29. And the application is to replace a door.
Thank you, Landmarks Commission, for giving us this opportunity to present our project at 595 Madison Avenue. The building, it's called the Fuller Building. It was constructed during 1928-29 by architect Walker and Gillette for George Fuller Company. It's an Art Deco building that's designated as a landmark for the exterior and also for the interior lobby in the first floor. As far as the materials are concerned, it was black granite, limestone, slate, bronze, and yellow brick that basically constitutes pretty much the exterior of that building. The building is mostly used as a store and offices, with the first few floors as different stores, and once we go above, it becomes commercial offices. This is a photo from 1929 during construction. Over here, we can see the location of the building and also the project where we are rehabilitating and upgrading that service elevator door that's located at the corner of 57th Street and Madison Avenue. To establish the precedence and to understand the original historic nature of this door, we kind of went back to the library and found a couple of photos. On the left, we have a photo from 1940, which is not very conclusive in terms of the details. But on the right, we can see a photo from much later. It looks like it's like around late 70s or 80s, where we can see the door. And that's probably the best photo we have, the historical photo we have of the door itself. So this is the door that we are currently talking about. So to go over the scope of the project, the existing door that's there, it's an electrical door. It's a pull-up door that has been there originally, and the building has tried to maintain that door and fix the mechanisms as much as they can. However, in 2007, there was an accident on the door, which ended up in a fatality. So since then, the building worked with door manufacturer to fix the pulleys, the weights, the controls, and the counterweights, all of that, to make the door operable during its course of time. But after, even with all this maintenance and rehabilitation, the door in its existing functionality, which is a pull-up door, does not work with the modern requirements and provide the required safety in operation. The building also does yearly inspection with the door manufacturer and the building department to keep the door operable as much as they can. They also looked into retrofitting the door with something that's similar. However, given the existing opening and all the obstructions behind it becomes difficult to achieve that. So as a result, we feel that the best option in terms of operability and safety is to have a manual double door as opposed to a mechanical door that swings out. So we kind of went back to the building and looked into different precedents of different types of door that the building has. So there are a few photos from the inside of the building and also one from the storefront. You can see that all the doors are swing door except for the elevator doors over here. They have a satin brass finish, and we kind of took cue from that when we proposed the new door. So in the next few slides, we're going to go go over some existing and proposed conditions. So this is the location of the service elevator door in that corner, beside one of the side doors that goes into the elevator lobby. This is an enlargement of that same drawing, looking at the critical dimensions of 4'9", which is the existing dimension of the door portal. We are working with the same dimensions for the new door so that there is no change in terms of the visibility of the entrance itself. Again, a before and after, let's say, an existing and proposed elevation of the door itself. This is an enlargement of that. As you can see on the left, which is the existing door, since this is a pull-up door, the door kind of slides behind this fixed transom. And you will notice that the door panel kind of sticks slightly behind this transom due to added bottom that has been damaged for years of operation. So as a remedy to that and part of the new design feature, we kind of recreated the same transom above, and we are proposing these double door that has the same octagonal motifs that we can see on the existing one. We went back to the side to take critical measurements of different door and the portal elements that is there and try to document everything. So this is the existing condition once when the door is in its pull-up position. On the back, we can see that there are no historical features in terms of cladding or whatnot. It's basically the substrate for the pull-up door with the door bottom. Over here, it's a side-by-side comparison again for the existing door and the proposed one. You can see the different panels. You can see the existing door bottom that has been replaced with a clean panel of a swing door with the astragal in the middle. And the hinges for the new proposed door will be fully concealed, and the door will be operated fully from inside. So the goal is to have not any visible hardware on the exterior, just like we have in the existing door. A couple of drawings kind of showing the door transition. The door transition is one of the elements that we are keeping as is and reusing it. This is looking at a section again of the existing and the proposed door itself. So we're going to retain all the signage that's in the door. There is a secure CCTV camera on the top of the portal that's staying as is. And comparing the two doors side by side, you can see we kind of maintain the same dimensions, same profiles, and you can also see the hardware that's being installed on the back as a door pull, and it's going to get flush bolt mounted on the door bottom on the floor. This is an enlarged door header section. Looking into the existing and the new condition, you'll notice that the profiles that we're trying to match the existing with the new for the brass portal, the transom staying the same in terms of dimension and the design. The new door is will be installed flush with the transom over here. This is another detailed section looking at the jam conditions with the existing on the left and the proposed one on the side. You'll notice that all the door hardware, the heavy-duty hinges getting concealed behind the frame that takes the cladding of the door. And this is documenting the octagonal motif that was there existing and the proposed motif that kind of mimics the same design. And on the right, this is the finish that we will be using. We're working with Architectural Metal. They have installed successfully other entrances and was able to match the finish. This is a picture from one of their matching cladding sample. This is a picture of what we are anticipating in terms of what is existing and what will be the proposed design. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Jefferson.
If you go back to page 19, what are you changing from the existing door? Precisely, what's the difference?
So the difference is first in operation. So the existing one, it's a pull-up door, so it kind of slides behind the transom.
Okay.
And the new one is going to be a double swing door that opens out into the space.
But there's a difference in plane, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a major difference from this is not a restoration, you're changing it, right?
The function is definitely changing, correct.
And the door is changing, plane is different, right?
The door changes, correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay. So let's move to public testimony. And I don't think we have anyone in the room who wants to testify on this item, or do we? Okay. So Elizabeth Lee will take us through the remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be John Graham.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society, New York. The Victorian Society supports the proposed modifications to the Madison Avenue entrance at the Fuller Building. The work will include replacement of the existing bronze-clad pull-down door with a new pair of outward swing doors with concealed hinges set in the existing opening. The existing counterweight system, which supported the pull-down door, will be discarded. The existing fixed transom panel will be replaced in kind. The new doors and transom panel will match the originals in terms of design, proportions, materials, finish, and details. The VSNY is typically loath to find appropriate the removal of original material from individual landmarks, especially when it incorporates scarce or even unique historic mechanical systems such as this. We can support it in this case because of the applicant's commitment to carefully replicate the appearance of the historic entrance. As paired service doors are typical features at buildings of this age and type, we believe that the change in operation will be imperceptible to the public. But most importantly, the applicant has provided evidence that the counterweight system has proved extremely dangerous in the past and that it has become impossible to maintain. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 5 recommends approval.
Okay, would you like to respond to any of the testimony?
Thank you for your assessment. I mean, so yes, we definitely want to maintain the same transom and the same profiles throughout as much as we can, and provide the new safe functionality for the door.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any last questions? Vice Chair Master?
So I'm staring at this. You've done. It looks like you can recreate, most of it very well. I'm just kind of curious about the plane. Is the transom plane on the same as the lower level in what you're trying to recreate?
It is. So you can see over here that the transom and the doors in the same plane.
Because in the original, the transom would be.
It's due to the functionality
forward.
again, like
Yeah.
it needs to slide up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Not seeing any. Let's close the hearing. Commissioner Goldblum, can you make a motion to close the hearing? Commissioner Jefferson, will you second that motion?
So second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The hearing is closed. Commissioner Chen, would you start the discussion?
Sure. I think in this case, I would go with the staff recommendation about changing the, let me read it correctly. The transom and the door in place will not, because it will not match. So I would like them to work with the staff to install it forward so that the door more in keeping with the historic infill.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
I find it appropriate, and they seem to have done a very thorough job.
Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Chen, and I can find it appropriate.
Commissioner Wilder?
Appropriate.
Commissioner Mahan?
I can find it appropriate as proposed. I know there's some question about the plane relationship between the transom and the doors. I don't find the operation of the slide-up door to be historically significant, and thus I can find the in-plane proposed condition appropriate. I also find it more attractive.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
I agree with Frank again.
Commissioner Jefferson?
I find it better than the original. It's appropriate.
Okay, wow.
Okay,
Can't argue with
Commissioner
that.
Ekwembe?
I also find it appropriate as presented.
Okay,
We can present a set
So-
of this, right?
yeah, I think we have enough votes to approve this as is without that staff recommendation. Okay, so Commissioner Chen, could you read the motion, please?
In the matter of LPC 26-06412, 595 Madison Avenue, Fuller Building Interior, individual and interior landmark, application is to replace a door. I recommend approval, finding that the removal of the existing historic loading bay infill and change from its guillotine operation are necessary to address ongoing life and safety concerns and dangerous conditions, that the historic surround, soffit, and transom cannot be salvaged and reused due to its modification required as a result of the operation change, that the proposed bronze-clad metal material for the doors, transom, and surround will match the materials and finish of the historic infill and will harmonize with other modern metal infill found at the building's base and designated interior spaces, that the details and proportions of the new infill will closely match those of the historic doors, and the proposed minor adjustments will not be perceptible. that the work will not detract from the significant architectural features of this individual landmark building.
Okay, thank you. Mark, can you please call the vote? Oh, I'm
Second.
second. Commissioner Quimby, could you second?
Second.
Chair Krasavage,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Quimby,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 9 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to the next item.
Right, next item is public hearing item number 10, LPC 26-10527, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 838, Lot 48, 404 Fifth Avenue, the Stewart and Company Building, individual landmark. This is a neoclassical and Chicago School of Architecture style store and loft building designed by Warren and Wetmore and built in 1914. And the application is to replace storefront infill.
Good afternoon. I'm John Field from Building Studio Architects, presenting on behalf of ownership. This is the storefront renovation of 404 Fifth Avenue. The building is at the southwest corner of Fifth Avenue and 37th Street. Known as the Stewart Company, this is a designated landmark built in 1914, designed by Warren and Wetmore. The building is one of the firm's most unusual designs, with a blue and white terracotta clad facade by the New York Architectural Terracotta Company. We are proposing to replace the facade below the level of the second story at Fifth Avenue, turning the corner on 37th Street. This present facade has been modified over the years for multiple retail uses. We are expanding the scope, including the previously approved altered bay at the south, which you see here to the left, for consistency across the frontage. The area of work is below the historic detailing at the second floor. We have a single tenant, which will allow reconsideration of the storefront with a nod to the original historic infill. On 37th Street, the work is more limited. The first 3 bays matching the Fifth Avenue facade will be replaced, with limited incursions on the western bays on 37th Street. This is a photo of the facade storefront undergoing a renovation. Note the glass transoms and the creation of the column still present today over the front of the building on Fifth Avenue. You can see low bulkheads of granite and a facade balanced in height with clerestory of white glass over showcase windows and entrances. Another view of the original facade showing transoms above the showcase windows. Our heights and proportions are derived from interpretations of the photographs. We are modeling our proportions closely to the original, with regular and repeated clerestory bays over the clear storefront below. Our Fifth Avenue storefront is glass and aluminum, with molded beauty cap profiles in a Kynar painted bronze. The clerestory windows are inoperable, but will be white translucent glass, and I have some samples here. The granite base will match the original granite and restored marble roping at the 37th Street and Fifth Avenue corner. On 37th Street, the treatment is similar. We are restoring 2 bays further west in keeping with the existing fenestration and base bulkhead where the street slopes down. This is a composite montage of the corner view as proposed. On 37th Street, the original building upper floor service entrance, which you see in the left of these images, is more utilitarian and is being modified. Much of the original elements appear to be intact behind the present granite overlay. Here we see even the corner roping detail, which will be at Fifth Avenue also. And on the right is the restored marble from the south corner of Fifth Avenue. This facade is more utilitarian with infill glazing panels and a restored stone pier and granite bulkhead. The windows will be set into the facade the same distance as the bay to the east. I'll pause here for questions. Details and plans following show more work in depth.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Jefferson?
Get confused. Is this partial restoration, or, so this portion is being restored, right?
Correct.
In
This,
terms of the-
this portion is being restored from the ground up to the level of just above that stoplight. There's some historic filigree that's remaining.
And that's based on historical precedents, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It's based on a historic photo, I guess.
Correct.
The other part, the rest of it is based on this part. This is based on,
This is based on the existing bay. We're replacing, whoops, sorry. This is 37th Street, and
Okay.
it's more of a service bay. We're basing it on the bay to the left. And we are uncovering
the corner.
we're peeling off the existing granite. Much of that material is there, including the roping, which you can see behind that expanded metal in the center photo. So that's going to be restored.
Thank you very much.
And I should have noted that Commissioner Goldblum is recused on this item. Any other questions?
I just want to also note, because the question was, well, the term restoration was used. If the exact details, configurations, et cetera, were all entirely known through archival drawings or very, very good photographs, restoration work can often be handled by the staff, even at an individual landmark. But the standard is quite high, and in this case, there are some deviations, we think, in known details, but also things that are just not possible to know because of the quality of the historic documentation. So it's not an exact restoration, but it very much recalls the historic features that you see in historic photographs. But that's why you all are looking at it, because it's not an exact restoration. Excuse me?
Restoration, partial, is only a portion of the facade.
There are buildings that do sort of incremental restoration and one storefront at a time, and staff can often handle that as well. So it's not so much about how many of the storefronts that they're doing at once. It's more about that it's not an exact replication of a known historic condition.
Okay, let's move to public testimony. Is there anybody in the room that would like to speak on this item? Okay, not seeing anybody. Let's move to Elizabeth Lee for remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. First speaker will be John Graham.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. There are many things to like about this proposal. It will go a long way towards restoring the transparent quality of the original storefront base and the unusual clear story configuration above the base. However, we believe that some details need to be changed for this to be an appropriate proposal. First, the clear story glazing is called out as white frosted glass. We think white glass will be too bright and will visually jump out from the facade above and below. The original glazing, or most of it, appears to have been clear frosted or translucent glass. This will be much more subdued and typical of this kind of historic glazing. Second, the aluminum storefronts need better detailing. The proposed beauty caps, a term which speaks volumes about the state of today's architectural design, do not appear to have a stylistic relationship to the historic storefronts on this building or other buildings of the period. Details from this building or similar buildings should be studied in storefront framing and other details designed to replicate historic profiles. This would preferably be done with solid wood, or cast or extruded metal, and not by tacking sheet aluminum caps onto plain framing. We also recommend that the stone sills capping the bulkheads project slightly past the face of the bulkhead. This will serve to provide a drip, hide the mortar joint, and give some texture to the base. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 5 has no comments at this time, and the Historic Districts Council finds some details to be insufficiently resolved, specifically at the mullions, posts, caps, and transitional conditions between materials, and questions the proposed white opaque glazing. HDC suggests continued detail refinement for a more elegant and cohesive composition.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to any of the questions?
I would. I appreciate Mr. Graham's commentary. I have a piece of the white glass here, which is actually translucent. It's a laminated interlayer, and I'll pass it around. I think it addresses the society's concerns. As far as the projection of the bulkhead cap, I actually don't find that inappropriate. And we are looking at a very flush detail further down 37th Street at our service bay, which is the historic detailing. And that is a flush condition. So I prefer not to change that. And we can look at resolving some of the detailing on the beauty caps. Unfortunately, aluminum is one of the materials that we have to use these days. We were proposing a Kynar paint so that it has a little bit more depth and consistency across the facade than an anodized finish. And I have a piece of that as well.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any other questions? Commissioner Mahan?
What's behind the translucent spandrels? Is it occupiable space? Is it a shadow box?
Historically, it was an historically, it was a mezzanine. There's nothing there now. It's a straight 18 feet. The
So
only
it's a
place-
double height space.
It's a double height space that will have a double height
part of the lobby.
interior, correct?
And there's no opaque treatment at the back of those transoms. They will admit natural light to the interior space, vice versa at nighttime.
Correct.
Okay. I have one more question. It's with regards to the rendering of the service entrance. There's a kind of there's a fine outline of a panel that bisects the solid panel at the top and the granite bulkhead at the bottom. Can you describe what's happening there?
So there, you'll see an inconsistency in the elevation drawing, which brings the bulkhead down to below this outline of a flush panel. This is a new requirement in electrical code for generator backup power, brand new, and new to us. So it's an access panel that we hope will never be opened, but if for some reason the generator fails and they need to bring another generator with a truck, it can hook up there.
Okay. And
the drawing,
bisect the materials like that?
no, we're not going to bisect the materials. The elevation drawing I have, this is an inconsistency in the rendering. Apologies for that.
That's okay. It will look like this.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Probably just make it the full width of the mullions.
And that's an inconsistency in the drawing.
Be a little easier.
Any other questions? Okay, let's close the hearing. Commissioner Mahan, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Ginsburg, could you second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The hearing is closed. Commissioner Wilder, would you start this discussion?
Thanks for sharing the materials as well. Better to get a better understanding of what we're actually looking at. Overall, I think that it's a good presentation, good design. I did have some concerns with the finish of the clear story windows. But after looking at the sample, I think that it's appropriate. I think the actual storefront design, as well as, I think it cleans up the facade overall. I think it's a nice design. Yeah, overall, I can find it appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, this is certainly a significant improvement from what's there now, and adheres quite closely to original conditions as can best be discerned. I can generally find this appropriate. I might ask the applicant just to think a little bit about the specific selection of the interlayer for the translucent glass together with staff. I don't know if there might be a warmer interlayer, for example, to be more compatible with the natural materials and the bronze coloring of the mullions, or even if that, would be an improvement or not, I'm not sure, but I think that's something that they could think together with staff about. Otherwise, I think this is appropriate.
Okay, Commissioner Jefferson?
I think this is appropriate. I think it will really be wonderful from the inside with the glass panels. The light reflection would be quite handsome.
Thank you, Commissioner Quimby?
Overall appropriate, especially based off of the existing materials that we do have. I believe it is a close replica as much as could be presented. And even so, maybe just make sure you refine details with staff just to make sure everything is can be as appropriate as it needs to be.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, I was listening to, initially I was a bit concerned with, similar to Commissioner Wilder. But I think hopefully they can work with staff and making sure that the material comes out the way it is supposed to.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
I find it appropriate.
Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I generally agree. I think it's, you've kind of recreated historically what was there, and it's very attractive, much better than what was there. I'm really glad that you brought the materials for us so that we could see, especially the white, which really isn't that bright. Overall, very attractive. I can find it appropriate.
Okay, thank you. So I think that we have enough votes to approve this. And Commissioner Wilder, if you could read the motion. And I think we just want to add that we recommend continuing to work with staff on the details, and particularly the warmth or the warmth of the interlayer of the glass.
The matter of LPC -26-10527, 404 Fifth Avenue, Stewart and Company Building, individual landmark, a neoclassical and Chicago School of Architectural style store and loft building designed by Warren and Westmore and built in 1914. Application is to replace storefront infill. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the proposed metal and glass storefront infill will closely recall the historic infill in terms of its simple composition of elements, large display windows, thin framing, and subtle detailing, that the simply designed granite bases beneath the storefront infill will form a unified composition compatible with the new storefront infill and with the granite bases at the remainder of the building base, that the proposed continuous band of metal framed translucent white glazing will return the presence of this missing historic feature and closely recall it in terms of placement, size, proportions, design, materials, and details. That the proposed bronze finish infill at select bays at the north facade will be simply designed and harmonious with the remaining modern infill at the adjoining bays in terms of materials, composition, and details. That the solid infill at the westernmost bay will be consistent with the opacity of service entrances sometimes found at buildings of this age, type, and style, and that the work will enhance the special architectural and historic character of the individual landmark. Also recommend the applicant work with staff on the details of the warmth of the infill of the translucent glazing.
Okay, Commissioner Mahan, will you second the motion?
Second.
Okay, Mark, can you please call the vote?
Chair Savage,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum. Oh, he's recused, sorry. Commissioner Quimby,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 8 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, that was approved. Thank you very much. And let's move to our next item.
Next item is public hearing item number 11, LPC 26-09033, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1279, Lot 28, 50 Vanderbilt Avenue, AKA 49 to 55 East 44th Street, the Yale Club of New York City, individual landmark. This is a Renaissance Revival style club building designed by James Gamble Rogers and built in 1913 to 15. And the application is to construct a rooftop addition and establish a master plan governing the future installation of windows.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Drew Hartley from Atchison Doyle Partners Architects. We're going to be talking today about the Yale Club of New York City. It's at 50 Vanderbilt Avenue. We are going to go briefly through the history of the building, and then the two proposals that we're here to talk about today is the rooftop enclosure and a window master plan. So it is a building built in 1915 by James Gamble Rogers in the Renaissance Revival style, and it's right across the street from Grand Central. Interesting, the tracks for Metro North go directly below the building. It doesn't have a basement, so just a fun fact. I'll skip through this though. So on the left is the 1940 tax photo, again, built in 1915. On the right is the 2016 designation photo. It became an individual landmark in 2016. So some of the other designation photos. So the proposed roof enclosure. This is an existing photo of the existing rooftop. On the left-hand side, the striped awning that you see is a canvas awning over a steel frame structure that exists today. So it is a seasonal structure. The canvas goes on in the summertime. They have dining on the roof, which is a great experience. And we're here today to talk about making this permanent structure with a permanent roof and enclosing it. Just wanted to mention, this is coming about. The building is technically overbuilt, but we're in the process of bringing more electrical capacity to the building to comply with Local Law 97. And as part of that, we have to put the electrical transformers for that project inside the building. That is going on the first floor, and this is a creative use to not lose that square footage for FAR and put it onto the roof. So the existing structure that is there today is this white steel structure that you see. And again, it has canvas that comes on and off seasonally. So we have an RCP on the top and a floor plan on the bottom. The footprint of the new structure is slightly larger than the existing structure. It is slightly larger to align with building steel so that our new columns align with building steel. But in relation to that, we have also lowered the eave. So I'll show that in the next photo. So the proposed space is used much as it is today. There's a bar up there and dining in that area, but it can be a four-season room with folding sliding glass that can open in nice weather and close when it's cold or rainy. So the sections on the top, the blue is the canvas structure that is there today. And on the bottom is the red dashed line is the profile of the existing structure. And you can see our eave is lower, but it is slightly larger in footprint than the existing structure. Just looking at the materials, we are having sliding, stacking, glass and aluminum storefront system. On the next page, we have a standing seam metal roof, which emulates the copper that is there on the roof today. The columns and the pilasters are painted in an aged copper color to match the materials that are up there today. And then the windows themselves are black, which is the same as the adjacent materials. So existing and proposed of the current structure on the top and our proposed structure on the bottom. So visibility from the street obviously is a concern. From Vanderbilt Avenue or from 44th Street, directly across the street, the structure is not visible. It is only visible when you get to about 270 feet away from the building. So this is the sightline diagram from the street. In plan, this is what it looks like. You don't start to see this structure until you're at least a block away from the building, if not more than that. The first view, number one here, is on 44th Street. So the structure is not visible from this view. As we turn and go towards Grand Central, you start to see the structure. So on the left is the existing and on the right is proposed. But this is a zoomed in view so that you can see the difference in the visibility. So you'll notice that the eave is slightly lower, but it is pulled out slightly. We feel it is a small change to the profile of the building. This is from 42nd Street, so you're 2 blocks away. This is peeking through the gap in the buildings. And then as you go up onto the viaduct, you can also see the structure. But the profile on the sky has buildings behind it, has other bulkheads of the city, and we feel it is similar visibility. Next is window replacement. So we're coming to you to do a master plan for the windows that are in the center of the building. These are mostly guest rooms or hotel rooms, and they will be renovated year by year. But we wanted to come with a master plan so that we get a consistent window for all of those spaces. So it is the 2 street-facing facades and also the rear facade. That is why we're doing the middle of the building, because these are the guest room floors and they are the same window type. So the street-facing facades is a 9/9 window. That's the blue windows highlighted here. And the green strip on the right-hand side is a fire-rated window that is in the fire stair. So it's a slightly different type. So the 9/9, 8/8 windows, as I'm looking at the drawing, the proposed window is an aluminum window that covers the historic window. The existing windows that are on the building are aluminum windows. They cover a historic copper-clad window, which is beneath. And they jump the frame. So it's a frame-to-frame installation of the existing window. We're replacing that window in kind with the same material and the same configuration. And our glazing, there's no loss in glazing area between these two. So it is the same profile. The fire-rated windows, there is a slight reduction in glazing. But this window has to be a brick-to-brick installation to meet our fire ratings. So the existing frame will be removed and this window will go in that location. On the rear of the building, there's 3 window types. These are all 1/1 windows, so they're not multi-lights. There is the standard 101s in guest rooms, very similar glazing size and details. The fire rated windows in the staircase. There is a slight diminution in glazing area here, but the details are similar. And then the small windows at the bathrooms. We have all the details for how they either go over the existing frames or go brick to brick for the various window types. And then finally, the proposed color is similar to the rooftop structure. We're proposing an aged copper finish. And then the picture on the right is the historic copper clad window that exists underneath the existing aluminum windows. And that's where we're getting the proposed color from.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Mann?
Thank you. A couple questions on the windows. Why are you installing new windows?
We're installing new windows because a lot of the mechanics of the existing windows are starting to fail. Getting parts for the windows, we're getting less and less availability for parts for those windows, and they really are at the end of their useful life. They're also being replaced to improve the performance of the windows.
Okay. And just so I understood, did I understand correctly that the original window frames remain, and the windows that we see here are non-original windows which have been installed over the top of the original remaining window frames?
That's correct.
Okay.
But just one clarification is the windows that are there today have been there, were there at the time of designation.
Do you know when they were installed?
I
Designated
don't
was
know
recent.
exactly. But
Are they insulated windows?
yes,
Okay, so they're
Yeah.
modern. They're
yes, correct. It's a modern window.
80s maybe.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
Did you look at doing copper clad windows?
We did. We made the selection of the aluminum windows for a few reasons. One is that they're in a guest room. They get a lot of use from different people in the building, and the longevity of the hardware and operability of these windows we felt was a more appropriate product to go with the aluminum. And I don't have the data in front of me, but we looked at the performance values as well, and the product we were looking at with the copper clad versus the aluminum was a better performing product.
Any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Let's move to testimony. And is there anybody in the room that would like to testify on this item? Okay, not seeing anybody. Let's move to Elizabeth Lee for remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 5 recommends approval.
Okay, would you like to respond to any of the testimony? Okay, commissioners, any final questions? Okay. Would you make a motion to close the?
So moved.
Vice Chair Master, would you second the motion?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The hearing is closed. Commissioner Goldblum, would you start the discussion?
Sure. I think this looks appropriate to me. I think that the rooftop structure relatively minimally visible from where you can look at the building itself, and is really only visible at some significant difference and up against a background of other stuff. And I think that the proposed structure is more in keeping with building than the existing. So I think it's an improvement over the existing condition. Also, I think that this kind of building not infrequently has rooftop accretions that are visible. So I can accept that. And I think the windows look, wouldn't it be great to have copper windows? But I mean, even Yale probably doesn't have that much money in its endowment. So I think it's okay.
Okay, Commissioner Jefferson?
I think it's appropriate.
Commissioner Quimby?
Overall, I find it appropriate as well. I'm fine with the rooftop addition, especially using a slightly different footprint, but I think it is acceptable, and the visibility is acceptable as well. And I'm also in alignment with the proposed windows.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Chen?
I think it's an improvement over this iconic building. I think actually making the rooftop addition permanent is actually better than the temporary measure that they had before. And I have no problem with the master plan of the windows.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
Appropriate.
Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I agree. I think the window master plan is appropriate, and I think that the new rooftop addition is more attractive and more appropriate.
Commissioner Wilder?
Agree, the master plan is appropriate as well as the rooftop addition. It's visible as the existing, so not appropriate.
And Commissioner Mann?
I agree. I think it's appropriate. The windows are an improvement, not only from a performance standpoint, but the intended color will be more visible. There's also a center in between the glass mutton, so that's an improvement in sight line as well. Applicant didn't note, and I think the rooftop addition is acceptable in its visibility given the context, the scale of the building, and particularly the deep and heavily shadowed cornice.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goldblum, could you read the motion, please?
Sure. Regarding 50 Vanderbilt Avenue, the Yale Club of New York City, an individual landmark, the application is to construct a rooftop addition and establish a master plan governing future installation of windows. I note that the building accrued a variety of large rooftop additions prior to designation. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the proposed rooftop addition will replace existing canopy-covered structures which were in place prior to designation, that while the footprint of the new addition will be slightly larger than the existing addition, the slope of its roof and the lower height of its facade will aid in reducing the apparent mass when viewed from the street, that the rooftop addition will only be visible over the front facades from limited vantage points at a distance where only the upper portion of the addition can be seen, that the design of the rooftop addition featuring a sloped bronze painted standing seam metal roof, green painted metal clad columns, and black painted metal folding glass door assemblies will harmonize with the design materials and finishes of the existing adjacent rooftop additions, that the proposed windows will match the configuration, operation, and details of the historic windows, that the proposed patinated green finish of the steel and aluminum windows will be similar in appearance to the historic bronze or copper windows that were previously removed at these upper floor locations and that remain at the base of the building, that the windows to be replaced are located high above the street level, so the difference in material will be not readily discernible, that establishing a master plan for window replacement will ensure a uniform appearance over time, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of this individual landmark.
Commissioner Jefferson, could you second the motion?
No second.
Okay, thank you. Mark, could you please read or call the vote?
Chair Savage,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg, Commissioner Goldblum,
Aye.
Commissioner Quimby,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
All right, that's approved. We'll move to the next and last item of the day. That's public hearing item number 12, LPC 26-10574. This is an application for a transfer of development rights. It's in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1508, Lot 66. 116 East 80th Street, the Lewis Spencer and Emily Coster Morris House, individual landmark. A federal-style townhouse designed by Cross and Cross and built in 1922 to 23. And the application is to request that the Landmarks Preservation Commission issue a favorable report to the City Planning Commission regarding a continuing maintenance program for the landmark in connection with the transfer of development rights pursuant to Section 7542 of the zoning resolution.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sarah Scher from Higgins Quaisbarth and Partners. We are the historic preservation consultants for the owner of 116 East 80th Street. I'm joined today by my colleague Esther Wagner, as well as Sheila Pozon from HSF Kramer, who will be available to answer any questions. So as the director mentioned, we're here to present a proposed continuing maintenance program for 116 East 80th Street in connection with the transfer of development rights pursuant to Section 7542 of the zoning resolution. Here we have a photo of 116 East 80th Street, which is located on the south side of 80th Street between Lexington and Park Avenue. It is an individual landmark that was designated in 1967, constructed for Lewis Spencer Morris in 1923, designed by architects Cross and Cross. It's neo-federal in style with Flemish bond brick, limestone trim, multi-light windows, and wood shutters. The house is both very intact and very good condition, and recently went through a very thorough restoration and renovation program. So here we have the text from the zoning resolution explaining that in order to facilitate a transfer of development rights pursuant to Section 7542, landmarks must approve the establishment of a continuing maintenance program. This is a map that shows the area in which 116 East 80th Street can transfer its development rights. There's approximately 6,300 unused development rights. The owner plans to sell all of those unused development rights, and the current market rate is approximately $350 per square foot. So here's some historic documentation of the house, the circa 1940 tax photo on the left, and the 1968 landmarks designation photo on the right. And the photo on the left, both photos, you can more clearly see a medallion within the pediment of Lewis Morris III, which was the original owner's relative, who was one of the signatories of the Declaration of Independence. We believe this and the festoons adjacent to it is copper. As you can see, the house in its current condition is very similar to the historic condition, which we'll look at more closely side by side. The one difference that happens between the 1940 tax photo and the 1968 designation photo is, as you can see, there is a two-toned finish at the windows where the brick molds are a darker color, likely to blend in with the shutters, and the sash are a lighter color. And by the time of 1968 designation photo, it's all one darker finish. And then another 1968 landmarks photo from farther to the east, which shows this original setback at the house, which we'll look at more closely. And then just some later documentation from the Friends of the Upper East Side from circa 1990. So here we have the 1940s tax photo adjacent to an existing conditions photo, showing that the house has gone through very minimal changes since the 1940s. All of the configurations and historic detailing are still intact. Some changes have taken place, such as the installation of security cameras, lighting, planter boxes, and planters. And as I mentioned, the window finish at the brick molds has changed over time. Currently, it's a lighter color to match the sash. So we'll go material by material to look at the existing conditions, starting with the limestone, which is used around the primary entrance surround, as well as at the string courses. And so the limestone is in overall very good condition. There's some soiling at the top of the entrance surround, and we can see a minor little chip at one of the string courses. At the string course closest to the basement, there's a tiny little bit of biological growth and soiling. Limestone is also used at the cornice and the pediment, and as balusters at that setback terrace, which you see here. Again, all the conditions are really just soiling as well as some water staining. The brick, as I mentioned, is a Flemish bond brick. It is in excellent condition. The mortar joints are perfect. It's really lovely. There is one condition above the primary entrance where there's conduit that was installed that has an area of missing brick adjacent to it, which we'll address as part of the initial phase of work. Even the brick that hits the sidewalk at the base is in very good condition. There's some more soiling here due to splashback and salts, but overall very limited deterioration. Going to the setback portion at the primary facade, there's some brick replacement that we can see here, but overall in good condition. On the side elevation, you'll notice that there was a rooftop addition that was approved by Landmarks in 2006 that's only visible from this vantage point, which you can see in the brick here. After that rooftop addition was approved, there was extensive restoration work that included all facades were repaired. I'll note there is some efflorescence that's here, but we looked at the photos prior to that work. That efflorescence had been halted at that time and that issue was addressed, but there is still some evidence of that, the prior issue that existed on this wall. Copper, as I mentioned, the central medallion and festoons are copper, and then copper is used for flashing throughout the house. No evidence of missing copper elements, no warping, and very limited bends, and all the seams were intact. The windows, as part of that recent restoration scope, the sash were replaced, but the brick molds are still original. Some shutters were replaced as well, only the deteriorated ones, so some of the original shutters are still intact. The windows that were installed previously are all wood, match the historic configuration, materiality, and operation. The doors are not historic, but match the historic configuration and are wood. And there's also windows at the basement level that extend below the sidewalk. The grills in front of them are original and intact. This is the rear elevation, which was also redone as part of that renovation work. All of the masonry is in good condition. There's evidence of some bluestone repairs that were done in kind with new bluestone, and all the windows were replaced at that time. At the roof, on the left, we have a view looking south. On the right, a view looking north. It is a very tidy roof with some mechanicals and piping and 2 skylights and bulkheads, and is all in good condition. So the proposed restoration work is related to the conduit above the main entrance, which includes restoring this area of brick so that there's not a sort of a void in this location, and then painting out this conduit to blend in better with the brick here and then the transom here. So there'll be a brick tone color to paint here and then a white tone color here. We're also noting that at the time of window replacement or repairs, that 2-tone finish will come back between the brick molds and the sash. And we also note, because there isn't a lot of work being done now, that doesn't make sense to necessarily mobilize a cleaning. I know soiling has come up in some of these photos, but the idea is that anytime work is mobilized with the facade would be cleaned as part of the continuing maintenance plan. The idea with this work is it can be accessed with a ladder and does not require any scaffolding. So the continuing maintenance plan would include an inspection every 10 years. It would also include 10% of the proceeds going into an escrow account to help fund future restoration work if ever needed. And then we also have a future restoration scope methodology, just noting any replacement of materials would happen in kind. Any repairs would be done to match the surrounding finishes, and the failing windows would be repaired or replaced to match that 2-tone finish. And then, as I mentioned, the facade would be cleaned anytime there's a mobilization of work at the front facade. I believe that is the last slide. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, commissioners, do you have questions? Commissioner Ginsburg?
So I have 2 questions. On page 9, the left photo, the setback roof, there seems to be ponding on the roof.
We had just gone there right after a rain, but yes.
So it was within the 24
Yes, it
hours
was
where
within the
that is
24-hour
permitted.
time.
The other question I have is, why aren't you doing the 2-tone windows now?
We talked to a contractor about it, and they said the best way to do that is, at the front of the building, to paint the windows. So they recommended that we wait until there's more work where you're doing work at the front as opposed from the inside, painting from the inside.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then let's move to public testimony. We have one person in the room who would like to speak, Marco Tamayo.
Thank you.
And please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Marco Tamayo, architect, as resident of the Upper East Side with experience in sustainable design and landmark buildings. This property has been drawn my attention due to the extensive efflorescence visible on the west brick facade, the potential impact in the building's structural stability, and the apparent lack of proper procedure regarding the transfer of air rights. The west facade should be included in the maintenance program due to evidence of long-term moisture infiltration, visible deterioration, and potential concealed structural damage. Proper repair and investigations are necessary to protect the property and preserve the architectural and historic character of these individual landmark buildings. The facade appears to be traditional cavity wall system with an exterior brick veneer separated from a structural backup wall by an air cavity intended to drain moisture. When drainage fails, water becomes trapped within the wall assembly and migrate through the masonry, leaving the visible salt deposit currently present on the facade. The brick veneer is secured by metal wall ties connected to the structural wall. Over time, trapped moisture can corrode these anchors, weakening the connections and potentially causing movement, bulging, or localized facade failure. The visible patch repair indicates that deterioration has existed for an extended period. However, surface repair alone may not address concealed internal conditions. Therefore, a detailed structural investigation is recommended to evaluate concealed wall anchors, drainage conditions, and the overall stability of the facade. Furthermore, the recorded transfer protocol for the air rights should be filed in the Department of Buildings as a part of the official public record. This filing is necessary to document the transfer, confirming zoning compliance, and ensure the transaction is properly recognized within the property's legal development history. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now let's turn to Elizabeth Lee for remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelists, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Zainab Turan.
Good afternoon, Chair Kersavage and Commissioners. I'm Zainab Turan, speaking on behalf of Friends of the Upper East Side. 116 East 80th Street is a beloved, distinguished historic building that has been well maintained for decades. The Commission is now being asked to approve a maintenance plan for work that would likely occur regardless, in exchange for allowing the transfer of development rights to support another tall luxury condominium building with extensive private amenities. Friends is unsure of what the public purpose is. While we support strengthening individual landmark protections through continuing maintenance plans, we object to this application due to a lack of transparency regarding the transfer of development rights process and its implications for the long-term preservation of the Upper East Side. We request that the Commission address several critical concerns before Friends can support this proposal. This is the third application in the past month involving TDRs from an individual landmark to the same receiving site, located just outside of the Upper East Side Historic District. Friends seeks clarification regarding the standards governing these requests. Specifically, what criteria guide these approvals, and is there a limit to the amount of development rights that can be accumulated at a single site, or may such rights continue to be transferred without restriction? The concentration of multiple transfers at a single location raises concerns regarding oversight and the broader consequences of these approvals. As additional transfers are directed to the same receiving site, we ask how the Commission weighs the impacts on neighboring property owners, particularly with respect to access to light and air, and what protections are in place to ensure that the combined effect of these transfers does not undermine the character, scale, and livability of our neighborhood. While Friends supports providing landmark owners with resources for maintenance and preservation, this objective should not come at the expense of transparency or meaningful public review. We urge the Commission to clearly articulate the framework used to evaluate these transfers and their broader effects on surrounding properties and communities. Until these standards are clarified and the Commission provides answers to these questions, Friends cannot support applications involving the transfer of development rights. Thank you, Commissioners.
The next speaker will be John Graham.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. This application is similar to a transfer of development rights application from two houses on 79th Street that we testified on just last month. Even the proposed receiving site is the same, suggesting that an even more outsized building is in the works. Rather than repeating the entirety of our testimony, we'll say this. First, the implications of the new transfer of development rights schemes are of questionable benefit to landmarks, historic preservation, or rational development of the city. Second, we have little confidence that the Commission has the resources to keep track of the required maintenance plans and cyclical inspections, nor are there usable mechanisms to ensure that identified work is undertaken. Until these issues are successfully addressed, we oppose approval of applications under Section 7542. Thank you, Commissioners.
The next speaker will be Valerie Mason.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure, because
Yes, we can hear you.
thank you very much. It's been very difficult to hear you guys today. I'm Valerie Mason, and I'm the chair of Manhattan Community Board 8. We have already submitted our disapproval of this application, but I wanted to give it a little context. We urge the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the City Planning Commission to establish a framework that provides community boards and the public with meaningful information about receiving sites at the time sending site preservation plans under review pursuant to 7542. CBA does not categorically oppose the transfer of development rights. We recognize that it can serve genuine preservation goals, and we want to provide applicants with a fair and consistent review. As currently designed, the process places us in an awkward position. It asks us to approve transactions of lasting consequence without what we believe the information necessary to assess them, and with no ability to ensure that our foremost community priority within district affordable housing is reflected in what is built. As we all know, these are not routine determinations. My understanding is that fewer than 15 landmark TDR transfers occurred in the 50 years before the city of Yes, a reflection of the deliberation they require and the stakes they carry. The city of Yes has dramatically expanded this universe, and as Friends of the Upper East Side pointed out, we've had 3 with respect to this receiving site alone. Until that changes, Community Board 8 will approach these applications with significant skepticism, and individual members may vote against Section 7542 applications on principle, regardless of the merits of any individual continuing maintenance plan. We don't believe that such an outcome serves anyone well, not applicants, not landmarks, and not our community. And that is why I'm here to raise these issues of concern with you now. And we would very much appreciate an opportunity to explore these issues with you on an expanded basis. Thank you very much.
The next speaker will be Bill Brennan.
Sorry, it just took me a second to find the unmute button. My name is Bill Brennan from 170 East 78th Street on the Upper East Side. As the previous people have said, this is the third transfer, the super tall that's being constructed on East 79th Street on the southeast corner of 79th Street. I guess I would ask, is this approval on the renovation scope of a landmark? Or is this a transfer of leapfrog air rights to a super tall that will encourage walls of super talls that surround landmarks and their districts? If approved, you will be creating a marketplace for these leapfrog air rights. Think of carbon credits. You can imagine real estate brokers will open up shop to inquire from landmarks whether or not they're willing to sell to a super tall. Thank you for your attention.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to any of the testimony?
I think most of the testimony was about policy specifically, but in relationship to the efflorescence comment, I note that the building recently went through a restoration work, and Silman was the structural consultant for that work. We analyzed photos prior to that work and after that work, and the efflorescence has been stable since the work has taken place. So we do not think it is an ongoing issue. It was addressed by the A team, that's it. Happy to answer any other questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sheila Pozon, Zoning and Land Use Counsel for the applicant, a partner at HSF Kramer. I just wanted to acknowledge the community board's concerns and friends' concerns, all the various members of the public. But what I want to remind everyone is that 7542 is the current law. That statute establishes the requirements of what is within the purview of the Landmarks Commission and what is within the purview of the City Planning Commission. I also want to respond to the statement that the prior structure, where only 15 landmarks were able to transfer over the course of decades, I think that was actually what the city was trying to address. That prior special permit was so onerous that landmarks that need work, need the funds in order to maintain their condition, were unable to take part in it because it involved the ULURP process. It was very long. The radius for the receiving sites was very constricted. So I think actually this program is working exactly as the city wanted it to, and the way that the voters voted to approve it. So I think it's a success. I think that you will get many more of these, but you need to really look at what the requirements are for this program. And the upside is that there are these individual landmarks that previously did not have the ability to tap into those unused air rights that they're never going to be able to use on their building. And there is, an income stream for them. There is an ongoing maintenance program that will be recorded against their properties, run with the land in perpetuity to make sure that those are in place and will meet the purpose of preserving those very important structures.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions? Okay, Vice Chair Master.
I just want to go back and make sure that I'm understanding that the work that that the applicant is agreeing to do right now is really only to do with the conduit, basically painting it and then fixing the brick. That's the only work that we're committing to right now.
Yeah, so right now, let me go back. Oops. Yeah. So right now, the current scope for this initial work to bring the building to sound condition, let me remind everyone, it's sound condition. This is not the 7479 special permit. It's to minimize the visibility of that conduit, fix that gap, and and what we're agreeing to is in the future, when it makes sense, when there will be site mobilization, and consistent with I think the city's position that scaffolding is not something that we want to put up unless it's actually needed, that work to paint the brick, to paint the surrounds, and to do the facade cleaning, that will happen at the time when it makes sense. It's not about trying to minimize costs. It's about trying to be efficient and do the work at the time when it makes sense to do the work.
And I'm sorry, my second question was, I know that the other number that had been thrown to us was 6,000 square feet. Is that the TDR that's being transferred at this point?
It's approximately 6,300 square feet.
6,300.
So the building is being surveyed to confirm the amount of square footage that's used.
So a little over 2 million then?
Yeah, a little over 2 million.
Okay, thank you.
But I would like to point out that, and as Sarah has gone through, this owner has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the restoration of the building to date.
Right.
So
In the
that's
past.
in the past. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Ginsburg?
I want to confirm with council my understanding. We are just commenting on the maintenance plan. Where the air rights go is not part of our concern in this review. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's the city planning made that change.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, then let's close the hearing. Commissioner Jefferson, will you make a motion to close the hearing? Okay, Commissioner Quimby, would you second the motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. And I just wanted to follow up on one point. Mark last week at our last hearing had shared the definition of sound condition, and I just think it's worth reminding ourselves that it's defined by identifying missing significant architectural features, like a cornice or windows, or inappropriate repairs, and depending on the cost relative to the value of the transfer, restoring or fixing any or all of them. So I think that's what we're looking at today, whether the work proposed meets that definition of sound condition. Okay, with that, Commissioner Ginsburg, would you start the conversation?
Okay. In general, I think this is good. However, I think they should paint the windows now to match the historic version and not wait for whatever time it is to do that. I understand it requires some mobilization, but they're getting a fair amount of money now, and that is putting it, in my opinion, into a state of good preservation repair. Besides that, I think everything's fine.
Okay, Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we're asking for the transfer of the development rights. You're getting the landlord is getting over $2 million. And right now, what you're proposing is kind of to paint the conduit and then, repair a small piece of brick. I think that in addition to doing the two-tone painting of the windows at this point, I also think it would be helpful to clean the facade as well. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, I can agree with fellow commissioners that there's probably some additional work that can be added to the maintenance plan that can be addressed immediately. But overall, I find it appropriate.
Commissioner Mahan?
Yeah, the conditions report notes that that both soiling and efflorescence need to be addressed, and I think they should be addressed in the upfront work along with the windows being painted. You know, um, the text of the statute, you know, does state that the value and, you know, of the transfer is taken into account, and I think you know, that makes that request entirely appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
I agree. I personally think that it's okay without these improvements taking place at the moment, but others seem to feel that it's necessary now, and I certainly wouldn't oppose that. I think this program is a success, and I think that while today we may shed crocodile tears for a person who owns a mansion on the Upper East Side getting an extra couple of mil, I think that when we're talking about West Park Church and other buildings that are in hardship, and the issue of TDRs comes up, the ability to monetize this is critical for many buildings, and this is a vitally important program that I think is, you know, I don't feel it's necessarily a quid pro quo in terms of the maintenance being done right away. I think that the purpose of it is to provide both kind of a municipal relief valve for development rights that can't be deployed in districts, which, when we have a crisis of housing need, having the ability to find additional resources is critical. At the same time that you're providing incentives for people to have and maintain historic districts and support new ones. And I think that the real tool here is the ongoing maintenance agreement, less so than the immediate work. And I do take the comment seriously that it's very important for the commission to make sure that it has the resources to address these, because that is the key. The key is the enforcement. And if in fact we do have those resources, then I think it's a great program, and I totally support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
I concur with my fellow commissioner, and I do think that the upfront maintenance should be done now.
Okay, Commissioner Quimby?
I'm in agreement with what the prior commissioners have noted, and I do believe the initial scope of work should be increased.
Okay, Commissioner Chen?
I'm in agreement as well. I just want to commend Michael Goldblum for that well-said, eloquent, you know, we struggle looking at the religious organizations and giving them options and giving them resources. And I think this is valuable too. And then, you know, speaking of churches, we always talk about no room at the inn, you know, where baby Jesus was found. You know, at the end of the day, the harsh reality is that this city is way behind, and this nation is way behind in creating a basic human right issue of having a roof over your head and a decent shelter. I'm reminded constantly of saying, somebody said to me, Wellington tried to live under George Washington Bridge overpass for 2 weeks and tried to be mentally sane.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that we have the votes to move forward, but with the addition that the upfront maintenance work include cleaning the facade, painting the window trim, and that's it. Okay, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry, Commissioner Ginsburg, could you please read the motion?
With regards to LPC 26-10574, 116 East 80th Street, Louis Spencer and Emily Coster Morris House individual landmark. A federal-style townhouse designed by Cross and built in 1922-23. Application is to request that the Landmark Preservation Commission issue a favorable report to the City Planning Commission regarding a continuing maintenance program for landmarks in connection with the transfer of development rights pursuant to Section 7542 of the zoning resolution. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the owner has committed themselves to immediate restoration and maintenance work that will reinforce the special architectural and historic character of the building and aid in its long-term preservation. That the proposed immediate restorative work includes removing conduit above the door surround, replacing select brickwork, and patching limestone. Will remove later unsympathetic alterations and repairs to the facade. That the owner of the designated building have committed themselves to establish a perpetual cycle maintenance program that will be legally enforceable by the Landmark Preservation Commission under the provisions of the restrictive declaration, which will bind all heirs, successors, and assign, which will be recorded in the New York County Register's Office, and that the restrictive declaration will require that 10% of the gross proceeds will be deposited into a fund dedicated to supporting the cyclical maintenance of the plan. That the conditions report documents the need to address additional conditions, including efflorescence and soiling across the facade and the color of the off-white window trim, which does not match the historic condition. Therefore, I recommend that the upfront maintenance work include cleaning the facade and painting the window trim a dark finish to contrast with the off-white sash to match the historic color palette and return the individual landmark to a sound condition.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Master, will you second the motion?
Second?
Okay, Mark, can you please call the vote?
Chair Savage,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Quembe,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 9 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. That has been approved with modifications, so please work with the staff on that. And that concludes our public hearing and public meeting of June 2nd. Thank you all for your participation, and we will see everybody next Tuesday, June 9th, for our next public hearing and public meeting.